freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Gun Freedom Radio. I am one of your hosts, Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd. We got a great show. We are doing a series called Ameri-CAN, talking about the can-do spirit that is part of our American DNA.
Absolutely, Dan. So much of our lives have been turned upside down by this coronavirus, this COVID-19. And we have been hearing a lot about what we can't do and places we can't go.
Sort of like being married.
You know, our 35th wedding anniversary is a week from today.
Are we going to make it?
Here. Maybe not, because we already say we should get double because we work together.
No, 75
and we
years?
Are married.
70 years? No, we haven't been married 70 years.
It feels like it. Shh, don't tell him I said that. Don't tell him I said that. Anyway, so during this time, we're being really restricted, but our guests during this series are going to talk to us about, from their area of expertise, about all the ways that we still can learn and grow, connect, train, and expand our freedoms in ways that maybe we haven't even thought about before. And our guest today is Matthew J Mallory. Matthew is the founder and lead instructor of PS&E, Public Safety and Education, a gun store owner, and the co-host of the IMDb-listed talk show, Meet the Pressers. Welcome to the show, Matthew.
Hey guys, how are you?
Very well. You caught us on a fun day where we get to talk about how great it is to be quarantined with your spouse, like in a never-ending way.
You guys are matching in colors, so that's a plus.
That's true.
Only because you told me to.
Nah, yeah. See, my wife dresses me too. I mean, yeah. I get that. I get that. So
and you're welcome to both of you. Okay, so
very much so.
I love it. So Matthew, we were talking off air about how the nation is experiencing. So many of us are experiencing interruptions in our sources of income, and you're in a similar situation. I mean, I think we're all in this boat together. But you quoted the Bible, which I so appreciated, as a source of wisdom in how to navigate times like these. And I just wonder if you could expound on that for our listeners and our viewing audience.
Definitely. I've always been a serial entrepreneur, and have always tried to find ways to make money out of things. And I always make the joke or the statement that I wouldn't be able to have a hobby unless I made money from it, because that's the only way I can justify taking time away from the family. My wife wouldn't have it. Like, I wanted to get my pilot's license, and I couldn't justify a way to make money out of doing that quickly. So therefore, I kind of chugged away at it. I think I got like 0.40 of an hour towards my pilot's license, and that ended pretty quick. Yeah, 10 grand or so to get your pilot's license. But I don't know if it's wisdom, or I don't know if it's lunacy with how many different plates I have spinning, or pots on the fire, or whatever you want to call it. But that's definitely one thing. If I see something that I enjoy, something that I think I can be good at, I've always been a salesman, so that's kind of been the good thing behind it. If it's something I enjoy doing, whether it's with my mind or my hands, then I try to craft it into some sort of business. And the Bible does say multiple sources of income, because you never know what evil is going to be out there in the world. Or if you have 3 streams coming and 2 dry up, at least you still have water coming in from one. Or I'm probably paraphrasing there, but I know I've read that somewhere in the Bible at some point, and it just stuck with me and made me think that that's definitely something that I've always liked to have on the side burner. And my 2 main income sources were teaching classes, and we have a second house on our property that we rent out on VRBO and Airbnb. And both of those are completely shut down, both the rental and also the classes. I'm not doing any in-person classes at all, and the rental's totally shut down. So we're losing many thousands of dollars a month from that. And I'm falling back on all of my other smaller incomes, trying to pull that together just to keep bills paid and food on the table and such, which we're surviving, but it's definitely trying times for everybody.
It really is. And I love that, you call yourself a serial entrepreneur. I think we are so much the same. That must be why we like each other so well. But it has just kind of worked out that way. And why Dan and I have worked together all the years that we've been married is because, you really can't have a hobby that occupies too much of your time unless there is a revenue stream kind of supporting it. So
right.
I totally do get that. And, I hate that we are in a time that so many people are being forced to, make these decisions about their income based on this invisible enemy that is out there, this virus. But if we have people in our world or our household that are especially susceptible, we can't take the risk. We have to err on the side of extreme caution. But that you've got this another thread of income that you were talking about, where you're using your land in another way, not only with the bed and breakfast, but you have is it Mallory Farms? I'm saying that wrong. I know I am.
Yeah, Mallory Market. And that actually, a neat little story on that. We about 7 or 8 years ago, we ended up having a house in the valley of the Syracuse area, and I wanted to go out and hang my wife's bird feeders. This was February. We just got the house, just moved in, and I went out and started drilling a hole in a tree. And our daughter, at this point, she's in her early 20s, pregnant, husband's in the Navy. She lives in California, but back then she was like 12.
Mm-hmm.
So we go out, she's going out to help me, and I drill a hole in the tree, February, and this sticky, sappy substance starts pouring out of the tree. And I'm like, oh, look, it's a maple tree. It's maple syrup, right? Maple sap. She goes, oh, we can make maple syrup. And she got so excited. And I'm like, oh, geez, not another thing. I'm like, how can I turn this into a business? So we started doing maple syrup. I realized that's a lot more work than you'd think, and spent quite a bit of money getting everything going, and we enjoyed it for probably 2 or 3 years. We did it, and then I just realized it was like staying up late at night, and I really like to sleep at night, so put that on the back burner. Though we do want to aspire to do that. We've searched out some houses on our new property here, or some trees on our new property here to tap into. But so we did that. I said, well, if we're going to do maple syrup, we already plan on doing a garden there, and we ended up. I figured, okay, well, if we're going to have a garden, why don't we do bees? And we can have bees to help pollinate the garden and have honey from it, which we could sell and have for our own use. And honey's so expensive, so I thought that was a good way to save money, and that would also convince my wife that getting bees would be a good idea. So
it's all about working the angles, right?
Exactly. So we bought one hive, ended up harvesting honey from it. Our first year, we ended up entering at New York State Fair and won second place in New York State, which I had people saying, oh, it's your first year. You're never going to be able to do any, naysayers. And I won second place. I was like, okay, I guess I know something. And just a lot of research. Yeah, a lot of research. And then we actually also bartered a quart of honey for 3 chickens. And that also started our chickens that year. And we're up to 38. We just lost one the other day. We're up to 38 now.
Wow.
So you're actually going into those beehives and pulling that honey out?
Oh, yeah. And it's fun. We our 4-year-old and I took a walk around the back. We've got a 3-acre field in the back that we walk. A local farm down the street harvests or farms the hay out of there for their Angus farm, which we get beef from. It's a trade. They work our fields and they give us meat. So we get meat from them every year.
Wow.
But we're walking the backyard. Yeah, I love
The
Love
barter
that too.
system is
Yep.
amazing,
Yep.
and kind of keeps the government out of our lives in whatever teeny tiny little ways we can. It's an extra sweet win, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's the one thing we haven't done yet is like solar and wind and geothermal. That's one thing that we definitely want to work into it. This year was the goal, but financially it might be next year if we get back on our feet.
Mm-hmm.
So how much honey can you get out of a hive? I mean, hive is one block, right?
It varies. It varies. There's the brood box, which are a deep box on the bottom, which are usually 20 inches by like 16 and a half inches wide. And then there's 10 frames inside that where the queen will lay eggs, and the colony, the female bees will actually put pollen and nectar and all that in the comb. And then you'll do 2 deeps, and then on top of that you'll put the honey supers, which are a little shorter of a box, and you can do 1 to, I've seen people stack 8 or 10 honey supers on top and then ratchet strap them down and stake them so they don't fall over.
Wow.
It's just, as big as you make it, the queen will keep laying eggs, and the bees, if they can fill the spot, they'll keep filling the spot and filling the honey. So you can harvest quite a bit from it. This year, we just got back into it last year because when we moved a couple of years ago, we sold all of our hives and basically the whole bee business, so that way we can move easier and have some money to help us move. And then last year, we just got back into it. I got 2 nukes, split them out to 4 hives, and right now we've got 3 that survived the winter. So, and I'm about ready to move them from 8-frame hives to 10-frame hives. Just before I got on with you guys, I was actually building new bee boxes. I cut my own wood and nail and screw the hives together myself. So
Nice.
the night before, my daughter and I were painting the hives. We paint them with latex paint, some oops paint, just to keep the wood protected.
Yeah.
Very cool. Wow. And so you mentioned you live in New York, and New York has been, kind of
nanny state.
Yeah, for sure, the nanny state. But I was going to say kind of like the epicenter of attention, at least, on all of this COVID stuff as it's been happening in our world, and watching your governor de Blasio. Is that his name?
Well, he's the mayor of New York City.
Cuomo.
Yeah,
that's right. Watching Cuomo on the news all the time, and I started out kind of feeling like I actually like watching his news conferences better than President Trump's, because Cuomo was he was bullet pointed. He was very detailed. He sounded like he was had a handle on things and taking ownership for, look, you're going to experience some uncomfortable things, and I'm the only one, the buck stops with me. I was like, wow, this is really good leadership. Well, then they started dangling federal money out there, and then it was like, oh, and now the mask comes off, and we start seeing that, he's just really about making sure
politician.
Very much so. And so now I don't really like listening to his anymore. So
the information can be good, but just listening to his voice drives me nuts. It makes my stomach turn.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And I think I've gotten to that place in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
But, in New York, you have gun stores federally have been deemed as an essential business because right? I mean,
self-defense.
Exactly. But yet you're still in your state struggling with that because you have people like Cuomo, who are, I believe, the politician, which is more about power. I think there's a reason that politician starts with a P, power.
I can give you other names for that.
Rather than public servants who really want to serve and really do want to represent. So what's the status right now? Because I think your liquor stores are still open, but
liquor stores are deemed an essential business, but the only training which we teach, and I've been hesitant to do so because of my wife and daughter being immune or having autoimmune diseases, would be security guard courses. So security guard and law enforcement courses can be taught. And I was talking to my wife about it last night, actually, and we're probably going to start putting courses on the schedule starting next week at the latest for security guards, because there's a lot of people that want to get into the security guard industry, and I can teach those courses, so that is an income source. So that is something that I'm probably going to do. I just got to to be very careful as far as the interaction with the individuals, make sure nobody's sick, wear a mask, wear gloves, spray everything down with Lysol, hand sanitizer, take a shower when I get home, wash the clothes, all that stuff.
And that new gun owner might want to one day be a security guard. I'm just saying.
Yeah, definitely. In all my classes, I mean, I started doing some online courses to help, augment, I guess, some of the stuff that has been squashed because of our I call it a quarantine. The governor doesn't like to call it a quarantine, but yes. So gun stores are not allowed to be open. And actually there is a gun store in Western New York that I call from the governor's coronavirus Gestapo hit squad, whatever you want to call them, and told them if they do not close immediately, because they were open, they said, we're considered essential. We don't care if we're not on a list. We are going to stay open. And the governor's force called them and said, if you don't close, you're going to have your New York State gun sales license revoked. They threatened to revoke their New York State license to sell guns.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
And
now,
and then, go ahead.
I was going to say the reason that I haven't had the call yet, thank God, but the reason that I'm still operating and doing it, and I'm trying to be as careful as possible as far as interaction with people, but is because in his list says if you're an individually owned business, and I am, even though I'm an LLC, I'm a single member LLC, I have no employees. So I'm running under that guise that, hey, I'm a single member, a single business owner, and that is specifically in the list. If you're a single business owner, you can stay open. And if he calls me and tells me to shut down, then I'm going to, because I don't want to lose the business. But especially being an LLC in New York, I even have that aspect over me, which is everything else. My farm, my training company, the Airbnb, all that stuff falls underneath the LLC for protection.
Right. And for some reason, there are certain politicians out there, the power hungry ones, that they feel like if they don't tell us what to do, that we might forget to breathe or something, right? Whereas here in Arizona, we have AZ Firearms, we have a gun shop, and we are absolutely allowed, again, love that word, allowed to stay open. But we made the choice to close down for a couple of weeks. Right. And it was for the same reasons.
We wanted to be safe. And now that we have figured out a way to be safe, we're going to reopen tomorrow, soon.
Right. And we just needed to put some more protocols into place for the health and wellness and all that.
But we have enough to know, enough sense to know what we can do and what we can't do. And, we go on walks. We take the kids on walks.
Yeah, we leave the house and we go on walks.
What?
I know.
What is that?
Oh, yeah. Well, at least you have property. We don't even have that. We have just a, little subdivision house here.
So a funny thing about that, we have 23 acres and we have a campsite way out in the back property for friends and relatives and stuff if they want to stay on it. Or if people come by for a class, because I do classes out of the gun store, and we also have a little range on the back property. So if we have people come over for any of that stuff, they can always, if they come from a distance, they can always stay there. Like I've got Jeff Gonzalez coming in September. So that's kind of a neat thing. But cool. Even with the 23 acres and walking it and hiking the backwoods and stuff, our 4-year-old's like, can we go on a walk? And then, but second you want to go into the woods, she's like, nope, I don't want to go in the woods. No woods. I don't like the woods. So we're trying to, I know, right? We're trying to get her
find that
balance
a little bit more where everybody's happy. Yeah. And that's the thing. And then we have this, I think it's the mayor of Los Angeles that is encouraging people with dangling the carrot of a reward of some sort to tattletale on their neighbors. I mean, if that doesn't, to me, that sounds like kind of the training ground for these red flag gun law, citizen coalitions out there, the citizen brigade that's going to start turning everybody in for everything they don't like that you're doing in your life.
Now, here's an epiphany. Why wouldn't they do stuff like that in the inner cities where all the murders happen and nobody wants to tell on the bad guys that actually shoot and kill people?
That makes a lot of sense right there.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, like, hey, here's a carrot. We'll give you free rent for a month, whatever. So give them something to come in and a reward to actually do the right thing and step forward and tell on that gangbanger that just shot and killed that 12-year-old kid or something.
No, it's much more important if somebody went to the park, right? Then, let's tell on the people that just take a walk in the park with their dog with nobody anywhere else around them. Let's be sure we lock that up quickly. But that other stuff, helping capture murderers. Psh, whatevs.
I think our governor is being a little more sensible about it. He's telling us that we need to stay indoors, but he's not telling us you can't go on a walk with your family.
No, but the mayor of Phoenix just
That's another story.
yesterday or this morning got on the TV and said, yeah, I really need you to tell on your neighbors if you see people doing what I don't want them to do. Not what's constitutionally okay, not what is healthy for their life, but if I am uncomfortable with it, I need you to call and tell me what they're doing.
Our mayor in Avondale is telling everybody on Facebook, go to the restaurants and get takeout.
Mm-hmm.
He's really trying to support the small businesses.
Yeah,
that's
smart.
Yeah,
that's
smart.
It, for sure. So how did, as I was leading in and I was saying that you were a co-host on a podcast of your own called Meet the Pressers. First of all, thank you for having me on at the beginning of this year. That was very fun.
First episode of the year.
I love it. When I was talking earlier in the week with your co-host and he said that, I was the first one of the year, and I said, I'm number one because I have to celebrate where I can celebrate, right?
Yes, definitely.
But how did that come to be? How did you two become the co-hosts?
I had a friend, who's actually a student who I certified as a USCCA instructor years ago. He had the idea of doing a podcast, just an audio podcast. And so we tried a couple, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it was going anywhere. And it was, for me, technologically, it was tough to find out how to get podcasts published and such, and time-wise. So we put it on the back burner. Then I thought, well, why don't we do it as a YouTube, because people monetize that. There's probably more money in a video. Everybody wants to see videos. So we started the PS Ned Show, and I hired him on as actually my gunsmith, and he was doing gun repairs and holsters and stuff. He ended up getting a job closer to his house, 2-hour drive. And so I put the show on the back burner, and we didn't do a ton of episodes. I think we did 10 or 15, something like that. Then I was down in Pennsylvania for the UTM instructor certification, train the trainer, and Clint was hosting it. And we're there and we're talking, and Clint had helped me, give me some audio ideas and stuff prior when we started the YouTube show, Meet the Pressers. The PS Ned Show. And he asked me, how's the show going? I'm like, well, I put it in the back burner. The other guy had got a job close to his house. And he goes, well, you can't let that go. You got momentum. You got sponsors. You got my voice as the intro, because he did the voiceover for the voice for the intro. So I said, well, what, you want to be my co-host? He goes, yeah. That was it. And then we came up with a new name and rebranded it and formatted it and decided that we'd do both video on YouTube and audio. And now we're also on GunStreamer, the video portion. We're on 16 different podcast platforms. Clint's the one that got us on IMDb. So we're one of the only talk shows on YouTube listed on IMDb as an official talk show by Hollywood standards, if that means anything to anybody. Hollywood.
That's true. But it was kind of fun to see that I played myself on your show on IMDb.
Yeah, that's actually turned out to be a really, really cool thing. Getting people on the show to, and putting them on IMDb makes people realize, oh, well, okay, that is, and because we're just starting out, that's a way for us to get top-notch people like yourself on the show. And because now, hey, listen, if you're on our show, you'll be on IMDb. You're like, oh, what? Really?
There's that carrot again. It's all about the carrots in life. I love it.
So you're on there now?
I am on there now. And I just loved how much it said Cheryl Todd played herself on the Meet the Presser show. So that is really cool how we, one thing just kind of builds on another and develops into the next thing. And that you really, in it, what is it, 2 years time or so that you guys have been doing this?
Actually, what month is this? April? It's actually exactly April the 4th was our first episode, so we just hit a year.
Oh, wow. Well, happy anniversary and congratulations. And it's just incredible, the ability that we have in this day and age to be able to sit in our homes. And that's, part of that, idea of what we can be doing. We can sit in our homes. We can, put a halfway decent microphone, a halfway decent camera together. We can actually reach the entire world with the ideas that we discuss here about freedom and liberty and firearms ownership and things that they're, here in Arizona, we have some of the best gun laws on.
Gun laws aren't best. There's no good gun laws.
Well, that's true. The best freedom.
Touché.
Freedom. Okay.
Yes. I like how you said that.
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget that not everybody enjoys it. The freedoms that we've been able to maintain here in Arizona. And so, people in other parts of the country or the world, they listen in and they're like, wait a minute, that's possible?
You're like poor California. California, they come over to the shop because we're right on the west side of the Phoenix here, and they come and go, you can have this, you can have that. And, we're allowed. Yes,
so, Matthew, you clearly have a passion for safety, for firearms training. I mean, you can even do it on your own land, which how American is that?
In New York.
Yes. New York. Right.
I love it.
It's like, where can I go that I can't do something that I'm going to do something? And you said, well, New York would be a place. So
it's funny. I usually will make the joke that I became a cop so that I could have the things you legally can't have in New York as a civilian. So that's another thing I do is I'm a part-time law enforcement in New York State. So.
Well, and thank you for that service for sure. So, we have literally millions of brand new first-time gun owners that, a month ago probably were on, the side that's chanting, we don't need any guns and gun owners are bad people and guns are too dangerous, all that stuff. And now suddenly they're in this whole new world going, okay, I bought it. Now what do I do? And so many of us are on these stay-at-home quarantine orders that some of our ranges even have had to close for various reasons. What can you say to people about how they can get proficient or stay proficient, depending on their level of familiarity, during this time?
Well, first thing I would say is seek out good content. There's lots of good books out there. There's lots of good YouTube channels out there. Meet the Pressers.
Wait, what was that? Somebody just said Meet the Pressers? What did you say? Meet the Pressers?
So, but get the content, get the knowledge from reputable sources, and then take courses. I mean, right now, I just switched 11 of my courses from in-person to online. So people can do virtual courses, and I've got 11 of them right now that I'm teaching. I'm actually teaching, I'm not sure when this is going to air, but I'm teaching one tonight. We get done here, I'm teaching one at 4. And I've got at least anywhere from 1 to 3 a week scheduled out for the next month online. And then if we're able to get back in person anytime soon, I scheduled the ones online to be opposite of ones in person. So at any time, all my online courses or all my in-person courses are going to come back live, and I don't have to reschedule any of that. I'm going to have a lot of backlog because I've had a lot of classes that I've had to cancel. But the online courses, I do both NRA and USCCA. I taught my first NRA basic pistol course online Saturday. I'm teaching a USCCA concealed carry home defense fundamentals course tonight online. So get the training. And then once we're able to get back in person, then get out on the range with a good instructor to have them teach you the safeties, the fundamentals of safety, because that's crucial. I've had students shoot themselves. I've had students shoot other family members and them perish. So knowing muzzle, finger, all that discipline is crucial.
And you definitely need to shoot the firearm because you can't learn how to use it if you don't actually feel that gun, right?
It's funny you say that, because in my classes I'll actually make a joke, if you will, and I use in my training I use humor to get it across to students, because I feel like if they're laughing, they're not sleeping, and it's gonna retain better, right? So I'll use the analogy, like if you get a gun and you don't shoot it, and you're like a 16-year-old with a car but no driver's license, you're like this in the driveway, just back and forth, right? And then you're sitting there cleaning your gun, putting it away, getting it out, you dry fire with it. Right. Yeah. And then you clean it, put it away, get it out, dry fire with it. And then a bad guy breaks in and you go, freeze, sucker. And you press the trigger and you wake up naked and broke. So practice, you got to practice. Everything we do is a perishable skill, and nobody was born Benjamin Button coming out of the womb knowing how to drive a car or shoot a gun. So you got to practice, and you got to continuously practice.
Yeah.
Right.
There are just some things that I don't think you can only read about or just theorize about. You have to truly experience to fully understand. And I think firearms training is among those. So, just as we start winding down here, when people are hearing you say that you are doing these classes virtually, digitally, online, distance training, how do they reach out to you for that kind of help? Do they have to be in the state of New York for any legal issues to train with you? And how else do they follow you and all the other things you do?
Sure. So the easiest way to go to everything that I do would be to go to ps&ed.com, which stands for Public Safety and Education. The easier way to find it would be publicsafetyandeducation.com, if PS and Ed's foreign as far as the how it's spelled out. Publicsafetyandeducation.com, and right on the homepage is a link to our online training. There's a link to the Meet the Pressers website and YouTube channel and all that, which is meetthepressers.com if people want to go directly there. The online training, they can take the courses if they want. That's fine. Some of the stuff requires, like the NRA courses require a follow-up in-person range time and practical lessons. So for that, they'd have to come to New York or schedule something in their area. I travel. I teach all over the country. Courses I've taught in Florida. I've taught all the way out in Reno, Nevada. So I've taught from New York to Reno to Florida. So I have no problem traveling.
Very good. Probably eager to start traveling again, right? Because when you're used to doing it, it feels even more like confined.
Honestly, I'm not. I don't mind traveling. I don't despise it, but I prefer not to do more than one trip a month anywhere in the country, just because I like being home. I've got, we've got the chickens and the bees, and my wife with two young ones here. It's tough on her for her to run it for me being gone like a week or so.
For sure. I get that. Well, thank you again so much. I so appreciate all that you do. I appreciate you taking this time with us here today. And I know people are going to be reaching out because this is such an important skill to be learning, firearms training. Maybe they even want to get some eggs or something from Mallory Market. So
yeah, if they're local and they're close, they definitely can, anywhere in central New York.
I love it. All right. Thank you so much. Matthew J Mallory of Meet the Pressers.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Wow. He does a lot of stuff.
He does a lot of stuff.
Bees.
I know. Well, so here's the thing that was so funny to me as I was listening to him is we keep having a bee issue here at our house.
Right.
But we just, we have a smallish backyard, so it's not like I can just be a beekeeper and be a honey producer and seller.
Oh, you're honey.
Oh, you're sweet.
But
you're
sweet.
Argo J, when I keep posting about, all right, it's another year 4 in a row or whatever it is that I've got to have the bee people come out, because we have the no-kill bee people come out, and he's like, look, God is telling you something. You can have polka dot honey farm, tying into the whole polka dots are my camo. And listening to Matthew talk about how, he has a honey farm, it's like, maybe.
Yeah, but we have cats that go in our backyard too. What does that mean?
It's true. We can't,
can't
have a cat farm.
I don't know that I'd want to have bees around the house. I don't know. I'll just rather them let me be.
And there's your bad dad joke.
That could be, yeah.
For the year. Are we done? Can we check that off the list?
I'm done.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank our amazing listeners and viewers. We so appreciate you. Your time is your most valuable and finite commodity. And when you spend it with us, we truly value that. And of course, you can find us now. We are video and audio. So you can go to YouTube, or you can find us on gunstreamer.com, or you can binge listen to your heart's content all of the episodes that we have at GunFreedomRadio.com, and you click the On Demand tab if you just want to have us in your little earbuds while you're taking a walk. Are you allowed to take a walk? I don't know.
Some places you can take a walk.
Depends on when you listen to this, if we're past this whole coronavirus craziness. But again, thank you so much. And and of course, thank you to our guest today, Matthew J Mallory. And until next time, pray for our nation. We are in such a weird time in our life. So please pray for our nation. Pray for our leaders.
Wait a minute. We just did a thing. Como and whatever in New York. Cuomo.
And de Blasio.
Right. We talked about the guy in L.A., the mayor in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
We also know about the governor of Michigan that's telling people they can't even see their family. And you're wanting me to pray. You're wanting me to take the time to pray for those?
I do. Even the ones you don't like, especially the ones you don't like.
It's not that I don't like them. I just don't like what they do.
This is true. And we don't live in Phoenix. We live in Arizona, but we don't live in Phoenix. And Phoenix mayor is one of those that's encouraging people to snitch on each other right now. And,
the Phoenix mayor is, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's pretty low. That's just kind of gross. And, we Americans, we don't do that.
But we have some good mayors out there. Avondale mayor, he's awesome.
Yes.
He's doing a lot to lead his city to getting this thing over with.
That's right.
But as far as praying,
health, and
I guess I will pray that maybe they'll make some changes in their life or something. I don't know. But
they need to examine their heart.
Oh, they do. Do they have a heart?
Your heart.
Do they have them?